Now, for a lot of us, the onset of winter weather means sneezing, a runny nose, scratchy throats. You know the drill. For a lot of years, we all assumed we just had another cold or maybe a flu. But Dr. Stephen Levine of ENT and Allergy Associates at Trumbull is joining us today to say that maybe you've got allergies. Something to think about. We think about allergies in the fall and in the spring, but winter time is a time for allergy sufferers too, huh?
And with the Christmas trees and when they start to get a little drier and a little older, absolutely.
All right, so I guess the big question is, how do we know the difference? And once we do know the difference, how do we treat it?
It's really about timing. A cold typically has a finite period. You're feeling lousy, it lasts for 5, 6, 7 days, and then usually resolves. An infection can develop usually around 6, 7, 8 days into the event. So if a cold doesn't go away after 6, 7 days, you begin to get a little worried about it. And then an allergy will typically be something that you'll feel also in that prolonged period of time, or some days better, some days worse. Some days better, some days worse.
Is there a difficulty because, as we said at the top of this segment, so many people just kind of associate the winter with, well, I just generally feel lousy most of the winter anyway?
Yes, and that's more typical of an allergy patient, or someone who keeps getting recurrent colds, thinks they get 3, 4 colds a year. That may be someone who actually has allergies, and they're much more susceptible to colds because of those allergies.
So if someone at home is thinking, hey, that sounds like that might be me, time to go to a doctor and get tested, get checked out? Can you be tested for this kind of allergies?
Absolutely. Testing can be done both by either a blood test or by a skin test. The blood test is a good screening test. The skin test is much more sensitive. Treatments today are, once we identify the allergens, is to avoid those things that tend to make you allergy, which sometimes is difficult.
Easier said than done, right?
Second is medication, which most people are today very familiar with because we have such good over-the-counter medications. And the third is immunotherapy. And in the role of immunotherapy, we have traditional immunotherapy, which is allergy shots. Most people already know about that. But we have a new alternative that is very promising and showing great results, especially in the early clinical studies.
And that is?
It's an allergy drop. It's a drop instead
you thought I'd never ask,
yeah,
right?
No. It's a drop that goes under the tongue, using the same antigens that we would normally inject under the skin, applying these drops under the tongue, and you do it at home 3 times a day.
Any difference in how a person reacts to that?
What's interesting is, one is we seem to see less reactions to the allergy drops than with the allergy shots. 2 is we're experiencing early responders to the allergy drops more so than the allergy shots. But because this is still relatively new, we don't have good long-term data studies yet to see whether this is going to be as good and efficacious kind of treatment as the shots. But the results have just been wonderful in our practice, certainly.
And the bottom line here is that if you do feel generally lousy all winter long, you don't have to necessarily.
Not at all, and you don't have to get a painful injection and come in once a week to do it either now. So.
Which is also good news. Dr. Stephen Levine, thanks so much for the information. We appreciate it. If you'd like more, you can find it on the website at WTNH.com, he tried to say, and click on the Good Morning Connecticut Weekend Edition logo. 7:42.